Hello and welcome back to the shop. Obviously you've known that I haven't put up a video in a couple weeks. I'm still alive. I just was really busy one week and I was on vacation the other week. So we're back to playing down the shop here, and today's project is going to be a little bit of a project of organization for my benefit. And basically I'm going to build a collet rack for the lathe, and it's going to be to hold my collets and also my tailstock chucks, my centers, and also my quick change tool holders to be within easy reach. Now I'm going to copy the Southbend design, which is basically a long pole with a big metal kind of tray on the top that has the collet holes drilled into it, and that's just clamped to the bed. Now obviously I'm not going to use a metal for the top, I'm going to be using wood, and the pole that we're going to be using is going to be this piece of black iron here, a 1/2 inch black iron, which is, I believe it's 18 inches, so check. Yeah, 18 inches long. So what we have here at one end is we have a Street 45, which is going to hold this screw plate here. So that's going to hold the wood for us. And then the bottom here is a 1/2 inch by 3/8 nipple, 90 rather. The reason for that is in my stash of taps I have a 3/8 pike tap. So we can use a close nipple to screw this right into whatever kind of clamping block that we're going to use to clamp it to the lathe bed. The easiest way to do that obviously would be use a mill and a big chunk of square stock and just mill a slot in it. Now it's a 90-degree included angle is the V-way, so it's 90 degrees here, right? So all you basically have to do is cant the block 45 degrees, take the end mill and just buzz it right down the side, put it back straight, and then nip the end off wherever you need it. And this is the one that I had made for the indicator. This is what holds the indicator. Now I made this in a shop class a long time ago, and obviously I did this with a mill. I don't have a mill, I have a milling attachment, and I don't have any square stock because I don't really have a use for it. So I didn't want to go out and buy a big old chunk of square stock that I'm going to use a little bit of and it's probably just going to be sitting around. So I have this, which is 1.25 inch round aluminum. Now we can do the same thing with this and just use one side to make that little V to fit the V-ways of the bed. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a chunk of this off, probably about maybe 4 or 5 inches or so, and we'll clamp it into the milling attachment that I have, and we'll put a flat on one side so that way there we can put the clamping screw or the clamping piece, whatever we're going to use, right up against that flat side. Now also what we can do is we can just turn the compound to 45 degrees, and that'll give me the angle of the bed, so we can just cut the groove in there, flip it back, nip the end off, and we should be able to clamp it right on. And we should have enough meat on this to hold whatever we're going to hold. I mean, it's not going to be holding a ton of weight. Because the top of it is just going to be this 14 by 14 by 1/2 inch piece of wood here. And this is one of those solid, glued together deals with the little joints, little chip pieces. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but it's not a solid piece of wood, so it's cheaper. Because this is all going to get painted the same color of the lathe. And you can see I have a grid marked out on here. This is going to be for the hole pattern for the collets, which we'll go into after. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece, we're going to cut about 6 inches off of it, and we're going to clamp it into the vise of our milling attachment. Now I may not have enough cross-slide travel to do the whole thing, or to, put a flat on one side and then do the V groove. I might have to move this around a little bit, which is no problem. I might have to move it back and forth in the jaws of the vise a little bit, which is why I'm doing about 6 inches. Give me a little bit longer, that way I get a grip on it. And we're gonna just notch it for the bed, and we'll make the clamping surface on the bottom just nice and flat. Put the screws in there and hopefully everything will work out. We're not gonna be holding a hell of a lot of weight, so this should work out fine. So let's get over to the lathe and get this set up and see if we can make the pot. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to put a flat face on one side of this bar, and that'll give us our clamping surface and something to also measure off of. So we're probably just going to take it down roughly to where these jaws are, which will give us a flat of a little over, probably between, maybe around 3/4 of an inch, slightly less than that. No, we'll see. Play it by ear here. So let's go to the other side here, so that way so if I put the lathe in gear here, that would help. Usually. Alright, so that's going to give us our flat clamping surface, and now we just have to put the slot in it for the V-way. So what I'm going to do is, since I already had this dialed in right at 0 and my compound says 0, I'm just going to swing this around 45 degrees, and that'll give us our little the angle of our dovetail. I'm going to switch this out for just a regular 1/2 inch 1/2 inch end mill, and we should be all set. Okay, so because of the size limitations of this lathe, I actually had to move the stock back this way to be able to get it to where I wanted to. And I've just basically been transferring measurements from this block, which is the one I made to hold the dial indicator, of the dovetail layout of the front V-way, the layout pattern of it, and I got pretty much how deep I want to go and where I need this bar at to go in. So we're going to start from there and just go in, and then we'll turn it sideways and we'll just nick that edge off. Okay, the groove is there. I'm just going to turn it back to 90 degrees and I'm knock a flat off of here so we're not at a pointy edge, and same thing here. And there's a little scribe line I'm going to knock this side down to that I already have marked out. So because of limitations in the cross-slide travel of this, I'm going to have to move this down again. So what I'm going to do is right on the flat ways, line it up with that slot there. Now I should have just enough. Maybe I don't have just enough. Actually, you know what I'm going to have to do is use this the old flipperoo. Now I have enough. All we're going to do is come into this side here. And we're just going to knock a little flat on that edge, so we don't have a sharp corner. And we're going to do the same thing to that front edge. We can take a little bit more. Right up to a little scribe line I got there. Okay, so now I just got to nip that edge, and when I did this with the other one, with the one I used for the carrot stop, it was on a mill, so it was easy for me to walk it back and forth a little bit. So I'm just going to give this a little bit extra, just because of the fact that this is on the lathe, and I do have a scribe mark there. I'm just lining up my actual where I want that to start. Okay, we'll go with that for now. If I need to move it, I can. Okay, let me deburr it and see if it fits. Okay, so here's the clamping surface there, and there's the V that we put into it. And that fits the bed nice. And we're pretty much 90 degrees to the bed there. We're off maybe slightly. We're off by maybe about a 32nd of an inch in this direction a little bit. But for what we're doing, perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable for the method that we use to cut it. Now, I put a hole in the bottom here, and that is threaded to 5/16 and this is going to be our clamp. And this right here is just a through hole, and this right here screw is in a hole. It's 1024 and it's tapped. This block is tapped. You can see I have another one here too, and what that is a screw to level this clamp as we tighten it. Because this, I mean, just as an example, use this, because the end of this flat here is a little above the end of the bed here, or the end of the edge of the bed. When we put this clamp on there and tighten it, what's going to happen when it tightens down is it's going to tilt like this, or sorry, it's going to tilt like that and only put pressure on that very, very corner, which is going to make it want to twist when it gets weight on it. So this other little screw in the back acts as a kind of an adjustment screw and a leveler screw, which is going to allow me to level that clamping out so that that clamping surface is perfectly parallel to each other. And I did put another one here in the front just in case I got to run another screw into the bottom of the bed on the other side as extra insurance. I don't know if I do, but you know, I had it in the drill press and in the vise, so I figured might as well just put it in there just in case we need it. So, just for a test, we're going to clamp it on here. Tighten that down by hand until it starts to pull, and then we'll tighten that little adjustment screw a little bit to even it out. And then we'll give this a nice snug on there. We'll see how tight we are. And you can see, I mean, I'm pushing and pulling on it, lifting up and pushing down, and it's not moving, so it's definitely holding some decent weight. And I'm wrenching on it pretty good, so we're nice and tight, and that's going to hold whatever we need to hold. Now what we need to do is I'll figure out the length of this. I'll put it in the lathe, and I'll probably pot it off, and then we can drill and tap the hole for the 3/8 pipe thread, and then just round the edges on both sides and make sure it looks relatively nice, and then we can start to assemble it. And when I assemble it, what we'll do is we'll put it all together and join everything with red Loctite. That way it's all locked in place, and it isn't gonna the pipe isn't gonna want to turn or lever itself around. It should all lock itself together. So let me break down the collet system here. Put the tool post back in place, and we'll get set up to pop this off, face it, chamfer the edges, drill and tap. Okay, I already cut this to length. All we're going to do right now is face it off and chamfer the edge. Now we have to drill and tap that for that 3/8 thread. So we're going to speed this up a little bit here. And our tap drill is going to be 9/16. So first things first, we'll center drill it. Deep enough. Now I don't know yet how deep I need to go with this, so we're just going to start this tap in nice and straight, and then we can figure out the depth after. I just gave the pot a quick polish there, and that's what it looks like. There's our thread, There's our little V, there's the flat. And this is all going to be painted the same color as the lathe eventually. Here's the nipple. It fits in there nice, and we'll draw it up with the other, with the 90. We'll draw that up nice and tight. And like I said, this will all be red, permanent, Loctited in place, so it won't move. Now what we want to turn our attention to is our wood top. So let me pull out a little bench, and we'll start drilling some holes in there. So this is our top right here, and this grid is all layout. So right in the center is where we're going to mount our little flange there, and all these holes right here are going to be for collets. So I have 3 C collets, and the closest larger nominal size of this outside shank is 11/16, or easier to find size in the drill bit. Of course, I went to Home Depot to get a regular spade bit, and they didn't have one. All they had is these little self-feeder screw things, which I don't like, but we're going to use those. And basically the idea is just to drill a hole so that these slide in and you can grab them from the top. Now I have space for 33 of them up here. And I have a set that goes from 1/16 of an inch to 1/2 inch by 1/16. And I have some 32nd sizes floating around that somebody had sent me. So we're not going to fill all this up. I mean, you can go up to 64ths if you really wanted to, but I don't ever see myself going that far. So all we're going to do is every little dot, as you can see, they're staggered. So there's 3 here, and they're all 2 inches apart. They're 2 inches apart this way, they're 2 inches apart this way. So there's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, then 1 here and 1 here. They're staggered, so that way they're easier to grab, and I can label the holes that they're in. So I'm going to use these little self-feeder spade bit guys, and you just let them pull themselves in. I need to set your drill to drill. Just like that, and the collet fits in just like that. So we're going to drill the rest of these out. We'll deburr these holes, sand them out a little bit, and come back when we're done. Okay, so we got all the holes in here, and all these up here are collets, and the collets fit in there nice. These here are for my 2 drill chucks. There'll be one here, and then my standard one here, and this other one here is going to be for my live center. Now the quick change tool holders, I'm not going to mount yet because I'm not sure if I want to do it this way. I'm going to line them up across the bottom here, and what I was thinking is just drilling a little bit into partial thickness into this just to place a bolt for say like a 1/4 inch bolt, or even smaller than that probably. Is just put a bolt in there and getting a brass screw, cutting the threads off from where they stick up above that bolt, and kind of just hooking them on the dovetail on either side, spacing them out enough so that they slip on and hold nice, and have them lined up on the bottom. And that's the way I was thinking of doing that. I haven't quite decided yet, so we're just going to leave that alone for now. And I've mounted the flange on the back. So let's kind of get this together and see what it looks like. So this is it here. You can tell everything's in place here except for my quick change tool holders and a couple other little things I'm going to be able to hang up here. I probably put a couple of hooks for maybe one of the files that I use all the time, and maybe a couple other things like the chuck keys and stuff. And the other thing I have is a little eyelet here with a clamp, and I thought I had the right size clamp in stock at the house, but I don't. I only have a 1/2 inch. I need a 3/4. And what that's going to be is that's going to be clamped around that center pipe there, and that's going to be able to hold the drawbar. So that'll kind of be in there like that, and we'll be able to take the drawbar out and let it hang off of that. Now, even with it not being Loctited in there, it's still pretty stiff. Now, I like the idea of maybe keeping this top one here not Loctited, just so I can kind of swing it if I need to. The only thing I don't like about it is it is slightly too high. It's a little higher than I would like. I would like it down by maybe about 3 inches, which would bring it between, say, here and here. I think that would be a little bit better. And I just chose 18 inches because this is one of the standard nipples that they have in stock. They have 12-inch and 18-inch, and nothing really in between. So you can get them, you just have to have them cut it, and I wasn't necessarily sure, 100% sure of the size. So what I might just do is just go back to Lowe's or Home Depot and have them cut me like maybe a 14-inch and a 15-inch piece, and we'll try that in place here and see which one we like better. But other than that, this is kind of the general layout, and it gives me a place to put stuff, so it's not just hanging out on the lathe bench as I'm working, which was pretty much the goal for us. And as you can see, it's pretty sturdy. I mean, you can rock it around if you really push on it, but you're not really going to be. And the collets are up here, and they're easily accessible, and everything's in place. So I'll probably get this shortened, and we'll paint it up to match, and then we'll permanently install it. But for now, it worked. So I'm happy with the way it came out. We'll figure out a way to hold those two holders and kind of finish filling this out. But I really want to bring it down a little bit. So, but it gives you an idea, an easy way to do it with kind of common materials. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you on the next one.